Hi, welcome to Tebra Talks, the podcast for people keeping independent healthcare practices thriving. I'm Samantha Bergquist, Product Marketing Manager here at Tebra. And on this show, we talk candidly about the realities of running a practice, what's changing, what's working, and how real people are navigating it, all while keeping doors open. This show is brought to you by Tebra, shaped by the people who are running the business of care, because what happens behind the scenes matters just as much as what happens in the exam room. I'm really excited today to have one of our product leaders here chatting with us. We'll be diving into a topic that touches every independent practice, and it's your online reputation. Reputation has become more important than ever, and it's more than just star ratings. It's now a public performance indicator of your actual patient experience, and it directly impacts both patient acquisition and loyalty. And the challenge, though, is that most practices simply don't have the bandwidth to manage it well. There's automation, there's AI, and really the combination of the two, as we've discussed before, really creates the foundation for enhancing the administrative practices workflows. And so with that, we'll really be talking specifically today about how our AI tools and automation tools provide insights and AI-driven review replies that ultimately save time, reduce burnout, and really strengthen trust with patients. And so we're unpacking this all today with my guest, Mac McDonald, who's our Director of Product Management here at Tebra, who leads the vision and the creation of these solutions. And so, Mac, I'm so glad to have you here today.
Hey, I'm excited to be with you.
All right. So let's start with the basics. Why is reputation such a critical KPI for practices today? From your perspective, how do online reviews reflect the entire patient journey from first impression online to really the experience inside the actual exam room?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's tough for everyone trying to run a business today because this is creeping up as such an important KPI for sure. I think one of the main drivers is patient choice for providers is now really consumer driven. Healthcare has shifted towards consumerism. Patients are shopping for care the same way they shop for like hotels and restaurants. They compare ratings and they'll read the reviews. And depending on which survey you are reading, 70 to 90-ish% of patients are saying that they read online reviews as the first step in their process to choose a provider. And that actually makes a ton of sense because reviews are a proxy for credibility before a patient ever actually visits that provider or contacts that provider. Because reviews, they reflect accessibility, trust, and community validation, right? Because before we even had online reviews, I mean, you always trusted the opinion of someone in your circle. Now that circle is expanded to the entire internet. One reason it's a key KPI is for that, the consumerization. Another reason would be that your search visibility definitely depends more and more on reputation today. For example, Google's local search algorithm, the map pack, that partially prioritizes providers with more reviews, better ratings, and recent activity. So that means that reputation directly ties to new patient acquisition. I mean, you could provide like really excellent care and absolutely not get found online just because of inactivity or lack of patient reviews.
I love that you're alluding to it's really hitting on all aspects, both from the practice and really driven by patients, right? And centering around those patient expectations that are evolving really rapidly today.
Yeah, like and not even just your new patients that are shopping for you. It's the impact on retention of existing ones because like a poor online reputation just doesn't block those new patients. It'll erode the trust with the existing ones. Patients want to feel validated that they chose the right provider. And if your reputation starts sinking, you're gonna lose customers along the way. So that consistent positive reputation, it becomes a reinforcing loop for loyalty.
Yeah. And I mean, it's really clear that the overall patient experience is very much reflected by those reviews. You mentioned people are leaving reviews not just about the care, but about their wait times, about their total experience, the staff, the type of communication, and all that really impacts the impression that they have of the practice in total. And so now thinking about that and how patients use it for both, discovery, but also validation of care, let's talk about it on the practices side because we know there are all these needs. We know we need to do all these things, but I'm already a practice that's burning out. I'm getting more stress. In fact, what I thought was really interesting in our July 2025 market survey for patient experience, we found that actually only 18% of practices said that their patient experience is satisfactory. So they feel like, hey, I'm not even doing my best. And then also to add on top of that pressure of not feeling up to your best, 67% of practices were feeling mounting pressure to keep things seamless while also running lean. So they're stretched thin, they're burnt out, and simply they feel like they're at their end. It's a huge disappointment, right? To us employees at Tebra because we're here to support private practices and help them thrive. So why do you think reputation management is just so hard for practices to get right?
Yeah, it's a tough challenge. And reputation, it isn't hard because practices don't care. It's hard because they don't have the time or tools. One of the most critical aspects of having a strong online reputation is you must ask for the review, not just assume that they'll show up, right? So you need to devise a way to go out and obtain those reviews, because if you just wait for people to leave those reviews, only the ones that want to be heard with a negative experience are going to go out and leave that review. So part of that reputation management strategy, you're going to have to be proactive. So that's tough. You're inundated with time. Of course, then there's the staff time consideration, right? Reputation management often falls to staff who's already juggling phones, billing, patient care, and replying to every review isn't just tedious. It's also unrealistic for many practices. And then you think about how fragmented the reputation space is. You have reviews on Google, Yelp, Health Grades, Facebook. So without a centralized system, you're stuck logging into 11 billion systems, as I say. And it is a pretty stressful burden that practices face today. That's why it's so hard for practices.
Yeah, I love that you touched base on the concept of the fragmentation of reputation itself. And then let's say you're a practice where you've acknowledged you need help, you have all these vendors that are trying to help you with this part of your administrative flow and this part of reputation and this part of billing and this part of all this. Then have a new problem, which is you have all these fragmented tools and you got different logins for different tools, different contracts for all those, different renewal dates. You then have all your staff, or maybe it's just you, and you have to manage all these different windows. I mean, we're people who work in tech, and the bane of my existence is how many apps I have to log in to get all my stuff done. And naturally, we use Google Suite, so that helps a little bit. But to the point of my job, right, is being on the computer, and that's how I do my work, where all these practices, whether you're a provider or a staff, like your job isn't to be on the computer, it's to be caring and to attending to patients. And we have fragmented problems and fragmented solutions. And so would love for you to talk about how Tebra is tackling this, and especially with your own product, our AI review reply, our AI review insights tool, and then also just our overall automation that's driving reputation management across the board for private practices.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, like I reiterate that, like no matter what technology we create, it doesn't replace the human touch. It amplifies it by making sure patients feel heard quickly and thoughtfully. And we think that we're able to accomplish that with the suite that we built out. First of all, remember the first task of building that reputation management that I spoke about earlier is going out and asking for that review. At Tebra, we have review routing configuration where you can easily say, hey, these 3 to 5 sites are super important to me. That's where a majority of my patients are going. I would like post-appointment review survey requests to be randomly scattered across these. So you can really strategically drive those post-appointment review requests to key sites. So we do that auto-magically for you. The appointment is completed. We have a standard cadence that we will reach out to them immediately after. And then if they haven't replied, the next day, and if they still don't reply the next day, a few days after that. So we take care of all of the automation of harvesting that review. And then once they actually do reply, we have a centralized dashboard where you can see all of your reviews. We even have something called AI Review Insights. So this is really neat in that we have the robots go out and read all of the reviews that we have access to and provide you weekly with an executive 1-paragraph summary of what patients are saying about you online. And then we dig into the 5 key categories of a medical practice that they should really be focused on and care what patients are talking about, like communication, scheduling, staff. And you can see the reviews that line up with each one of these 5 categories. Click into them and then even split them by positive and negative, and then use our AI review reply tool. This is a pretty cool tool. Like, when you read reviews online, you can tell if someone's just copy and pasting or using some type of AI. Our tool is sentiment aware. It understands the sentiment of that patient review. It also is HIPAA compliant. You push a button, it reads it, analyzes it, and creates a very unique and authentic human sounding reply. And it doesn't sound like a robot, but more importantly, when that review is placed out into the wild, it's actually working for you. And what do I mean by that? We were curious. We were like, okay, our top human repliers, our providers that are typing out that reply themselves, how do their reviews perform against our providers who are using our AI review reply? And the results were pretty amazing in that we noticed the ones using AI review reply were seeing a 60% lift in the map pack visibility. So all the Google stats that matter, map clicks, phone clicks, website clicks, the ones who were using our AI reply saw a significant boost in that. And not only did it help them on Google, they apparently like the first generation of a reply from our AI, meaning 83% of our providers who click generate AI reply accept that reply as is, don't even edit it, don't regenerate it, and just send it straight through. So they really trust and appreciate the replies that we generate. And then those replies are performing well out in the field. So it's a really comprehensive package that we've developed here at Tebra. Ask for the review, show all the reviews in one place, give them a better understanding so they don't have to read all the reviews to understand what people are saying about them. And then finally, make it super easy to generate that reply.
To be honest, this is one of my favorite tech stacks that I usually work with. If that's not obvious, Matt, we've been working together for so long. The reason why it's one of my favorites is, number one, a real struggle with healthcare private practices is they're so focused on the human care and the patient care, which they should be. And we should be enabling that through all of our tech. And that also means that how are we uplifting patients while also uplifting the practice? Everything we do with automation and AI and reputation management, the replies, the insights, all of that kind of mends it all together. And how I even think about it too, I have a background in private practice. I used to be an admin, I used to manage employees. And for me, just even the AI reputation insights tool is so impactful because you mentioned, I'm going to quote the exact 5 categories because I think they're really important to mention. You're providing an overall breakdown of, hey, how are people talking about the care at your practice, the communication, the staff, the waiting time, and scheduling. And those are huge factors, not only for patients and their satisfaction, but also if I'm a practice and I'm trying to be more strategic, I'm trying to improve my practice. I have a monthly staff meeting, but I don't always know what to talk about. This is the perfect tool to utilize as a data source of saying, hey, we're going to start measuring, how positive patients are talking about us in these 5 categories. And I'm now going to hold certain people responsible for making and improving this experience. A great tool as a manager. I have a specific category about staff and how is my overall staff doing? Because normally in the day to day as an admin, you're just buried under like trying to keep things running, making sure that all the patients are happy, that you're smiling, that you're in person and very present. But at the same time, you get lost in, okay, what's happening overall? Are people overall happy? Because I only remember what's happened today, right? This Insights is a great data tool for practices to then take a moment of reflection, come back and say, hey, are we doing everything we can to really, make adjustments? I've talked about staff, but even scheduling. Even if you're a practice that has online booking, I'm sure that every patient in some way has had feedback about scheduling, whether, hey, it's too complicated, or I can only get appointments that are, over 6 weeks out, several months out, and maybe that's a good sign. And that's a signal for your practice like, hey, are we ready to expand? All of these are so impactful to the practice and it also creates conversation. That's really important is providing conversation for the practice to even reflect and to do more and to connect with their patients and develop that relationship.
Yeah, it's important because it's very easy to develop blind spots in your practice. I think you work so hard finally to get through school, you get out and you start your own practice, and then you're just focused so heavy on providing excellent care. And then some trend develops that you are blind to because you're focusing on that care. AI review insights will highlight that for you quickly and easily because who really has the time to read all these reviews? This AI is really magical in that it does the hard work for you, providing that executive summary and really breaking it down in those categories. Also, it's not just an analysis of the words used, it's natural language. So it understands the language that the patients are speaking. And it's not like, hey, there's this many negative words, there's this many positive words. It's like, no, this is in this bucket here. The other important thing is it's not an integration, it's native. You're trying to provide medical care. You don't want to have to like have a separate integration. This is native in the application. So it's just, you just log in and click the reputation tab and there it is. So it's really seamless. It's really high value. And this is definitely my favorite feature.
Yeah. And it's super impactful, like you said, how it's housed within our full EHR Plus suite. Because, if I'm a practice, again, my job is not to be on the computer. So I shouldn't have to log into all these other things. What's awesome about Tebra is we have the EHR, we have the billing, the payments, everything related under the sun for patient experience. And it's all integrative and housed in one area. And I'm always really excited as your team and other teams come out and we're just continuing to strengthen how cross-functionally valuable all of our features are. Patient experience is now working with billing. Patient experience is now working with clinical, and we're automatically pulling patient data. So it's just so impactful. And which talking about the future, looking ahead, Mac, how do you see AI reshaping reputation in general, whether that's in the market, with our customers, even just as a tech stack? How much farther can we go?
It's going to take a crazy turn, and most people that use the internet are seeing that right now, specifically in search. So if you search for your knees hurting, how to stop knee pain, or best knee surgeon in Phoenix, Arizona, now, that instead of having like a list of links, which are still there, there's a summary at the top of that page. The AI is removing the requirement of the person searching to find a cure for their ailment or to find the best doctor in their area. And the AI is like, you know what? We've already read the internet, and we're going to give you that summary. So the key moving forward is AIO overviews. That's that summary that Google has provided on the top of searches, and devising a really strong GEO, generative engine optimization strategy. It's no longer about SEO, search engine optimization, where you try to get on page one of Google. Now you're trying to not only influence patients by your ranking, you're trying to influence the AI that's suggesting you to patients. And I think that's going to be really key. And a huge part of that is going to be the signals that you're sending to that AI about the quality of care and the quality of your business as a whole. And how it determines that is based on the reputation, right? Is there a lot of recency? Patients are no longer just getting a list of links. It's SEO is all about keywords. GEO is all about credibility, reviews, responses, and those trust signals for sure.
Oh yeah. My Chat GPT and my Gemini are basically like my little assistants where it's like I have all these questions and then I ask it and then it provides me with the direct answers. I hate clicking on links. I only click on them now because I'm, validating that's part of my research and my role here at Tebra. But I think even, talking about reputation and how that's directly tied, right? The thing that is going to be central, regardless of search or AI or how this all plays out, which we all have a good idea, but patients will still remain at the center of it. So what patients are saying about you online is going to be the gold ticket data source for any AI that's looking to tell someone else, hey, what do you think about this practice? Or, hey, I'm looking for this type of service. What do people say about this provider that says they take this service? So I think that's key. Even in our market survey that we had, 65% of practices are actually worried about AI-driven search. So it's not like it's a, hey, this is a future problem. This is a now problem. I love how we're connecting the two, where we're talking about AI in the market and impacting search. We're talking about reputation and how patients are feeling about practices. And then we're talking about how practices are now feeling this pressure. So we're kind of marrying all these things together in this perfect storm of change. And it's a huge opportunity for practices to really not necessarily get ahead, but create a really solid foundation so that way they have stability going forward. So with that being said, Mac, if you had one piece of advice for practices right now, where should they get started to set themselves up for success with AI and just automation in general?
I would say build those strong reputation signals. Reviews aren't optional anymore. They're the new currency of trust. So for patients and for search engines, the practices that win are the ones that are going to have fresh reviews, consistent responses, and visibility literally everywhere that patients look. And the way to get there isn't going to be throwing more staff at it. It's going to be leaning into that automation, going out, pushing for those reviews, and then using AI that's HIPAA compliant and sentiment aware to be able to help you quickly and easily draft that response and move on to the next one. Let's be clear, AI is not here to replace care. It's just here to remove the friction so patients feel heard and cared for before they even step into the exam room. That trust is what's going to bring new patients through the door and keep existing ones loyal. I mean, reputation is a growth engine, and AI just makes it scalable.
I love how you said, again, we'll probably emphasize this so many times in other episodes too, but AI is not replacing care. It's removing the friction. It's creating opportunities for us to really leverage our human connection. And that's by taking us off the computer, having AI do the work, and then I can go back and have a face-to-face conversation without having to worry about the phone ringing, my emails going off, all these other things distracting me. Because what's most important, right, if I'm a provider or a staff member, is the person who is in front of me. So, with that being said, Mac, this has been a fantastic conversation. There's one big takeaway for listeners, and it's that your reputation isn't just marketing, it isn't a nice to have, it is the most valuable online asset that you have today. And with automation and AI, practices can finally scale and manage that scale without sacrificing time or patient care. Mac, I don't know if you have any final words.
Reputation isn't tomorrow's problem. It really is today's advantage. And technology makes reputation management sustainable and giving practices back time, reducing burnout, and building trust. So take advantage of this opportunity.
Awesome. And this has been Tebra Talks. If today's conversation resonated, explore more resources and our product at tebra.com or connect with us on social media. Thanks for listening, and thanks, Mac, for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks.